Welcome to your Thriving Heart for Thriving Life Grip Tips. Today is Father's Day. And for some of us, today is a wonderful, very happy day. We're celebrating our dad and the fathers in our life, the father's figure in our life. For some of us, for many of us actually, Father's Day can be a day that's of mixed feeling. Uh, and so a part of us is happy and celebrating, and then at the other part of us, we miss our father, whether it is father who was here and no longer here with us physically, or some of us, the fathers that we in a way never have, even if the person present physically, perhaps not emotionally for us. And for some of us, it's also as our father becoming older or ill or something, which is we call anticipatory grief. In either of those, whatever the cause of you perhaps not feeling fully joyful on this Father's Day is related to your father presence or absence. My heart goes out to you, firstly. My heart goes out to you as I can only imagine how you feel. And we are going to share a couple tips that might be able to help you navigate the rest of this day. A lot of time, this grief, it might start it sometime last week, it might start it today, being Father's Day, and then linger. And the tips in this video, hopefully some of them help you navigate and be able to move through the grief with more ease. And first one is to know that whatever the cause you the grief to grieve this Father's Day, that it is valid, that your feelings are valid. Your feelings always valid. And some people might say, well, yeah, and I hear this with a lot of clients whose fathers are getting older. People tell them, "Yeah, but you should be grateful that your father's still here." They say, well, yeah, I'm grateful. And at the same time, I recognize that last year that was my father was able to remember this and that, and then this year your dad's no longer remembering certain thing, or perhaps last year your father was able to do certain thing and this year he's no longer able to do certain thing, and that can cause us to say, oh, he's getting old and at some point he will not be here, and that can be quite a strong, a pronounced cause of grief that unfortunately oftentimes dismissed by other people and sometimes we feel guilty. Have you ever feel guilty for grieving? We feel guilty. Oh gosh, I'm like, what is it? Am I feeling sad? And many people come to me saying this. Oh, I feel guilty for grieving because the person's still here, even if the person don't recognize you anymore or something. I feel guilty, like I'm wishing them dead or something. That's not true. You absolutely not wishing anybody to die anytime, any sooner than they are meant to. But but you can still grieve of what you see and what is slowly taken away from you. And knowing that at the end of the road, that persons will not be here anymore at some point. So that's a very valid feeling. Whatever that you feel, just know that your feelings are valid. Your feelings always valid. And yes, you do want to do self-care. You want to honor your feelings. Sometimes we feel guilty. A lot of people say, my family want to do this and to do that and that, and I just don't feel like I can do that. And it's okay. It's okay. You want to honor your feelings. Sometimes you can have a happy medium, or if you say you make yourself do things today, and then now you're exhausted and you're grieving even more, then it's never too late to honor your feeling and perhaps allow yourself some self-care, whether it is quiet moment, whether it is writing a note to your father, whether this is a father who are no longer here, at least no longer the way that you would love or know him to be, or this is sometimes a father that you never have, whether emotionally or both emotionally and physically. And sometimes people say, you know, I never even close to my dad. And for some reasons I really miss him on this Father's Day. Well, not never been close to your dad, that your father's was never present in your life the way you want him to be, is still a great loss. There's no child growing up and say, yeah, I don't want to have my father, a father figure in my life, or not to have a father. There's no child when you are a baby, when you're first born. Sometimes life circumstance makes us cause us to say that, but otherwise an innocent child not going to say that. And so whatever the situation, it is still a loss, and your grief is still very valid, and you want to acknowledge that, you want to honor yourself and to allow yourself to do what you feel best for you. Perhaps it's taking a step back, perhaps being mindful about next year. And for some of us, it is grief that seems we have completed, and then it come back. Sometimes I have people come to me and say, I have made peace with my dad passing for decades. And for some reason, it just come back and hit me like a brick this year, and it's okay. And sometimes there are certain even happy events that bring that back. Perhaps the birth of your child, the birth of your grandchild, or something, and that can bring things back. And it is okay. Your feeling is always valid, and allow yourself a big hug, so to say. Allows yourself time and kindness and gentleness, and you can do things such as write a note for your dad. Write a note for your dad. Allowing support definitely is something that you can benefit from, with people who can relate and who can understand, not people that say, oh, you should just be happy that he lived until 90. Okay, he lived until 90, but that's not the point. The point is you still miss him, right? So support from people who can understand you, who fully, truly understand you, and able to relate. And then to set boundaries is absolutely something that you can do. And a couple other tips that's less commonly now is to to transform the loss to legacy. To transform the loss to legacy. And what do I mean by that? Sometimes the loss feels so big, but many people say grief is love with no place to go. And yes, the physical person might not be here anymore. Or perhaps for some of us, the physical person still here, but they're not quite present anymore. And in either case, you can find something that perhaps depict your father the best, and create something, whatever that it is most suitable for you. And even if that is a memory book or something that become a legacy. Some people create certain things under their father's name, and that is something that you can do as well. And so to transform the loss to legacy, to ask yourself, how could I carry on his legacy? How could I carry on his legacy? And the answer is very different for everybody, but it is something that as you embark on the journey of transforming loss to legacy, it's something that actually will allow you to feel closer to your father, to your dad. And that is one thing. The other tip is to write a letter, yes, to your dad if you miss him, but also write a letter or a note from your father. What would your father say to you today? What would your father say to you this week as you share with him what you feel, what you think? What would he say to you? And then for us who miss our dad, we could also say do we could also father the inner you. You want to father the inner you. And this is even if, and to a degree, particularly if your father never did. And what do I mean by that? For some of us, a father figure is not present the way we would love to in our life. And Father's Day can still be very painful in that situations. Or your father was here, but no longer here, whether physically and emotionally, or just emotionally, or intellectually. And in that case, you can say, what do I wish he would say or do for me today? So what do you wish? What do I wish he would say or do for me today? And it could be that you wish that he would take you to go and walk at the park the way that you were young, when you were young, or the way you see many fathers did with their kid, or perhaps it's something else. And so when you ask, what do I wish he say or do for you today, then say or do that as much as you're able to for you. Say or and do that, whatever that you wish your father would say or do, say that for you. Write that in a letter from your dad to you. And it could be a letter of love. It could be a letter of apology. It could be something again you wish you can you wish you can go. One time I asked this to a client, and the person said, go eat a Jack in the Box. And I say, huh? Okay, well, I suspect there is one in your town, right? He said, yeah. He said, well, perhaps maybe you can find a quieter time, not during rush time. Perhaps you can go there, and then bring a notebook, and maybe ask yourself, when you are at the restaurant, what is it that what else that your dad would say to you? And she did that, and it allowed her a bit of peace and allow her to receive what she considered a message from her father, who passed actually quite a little time back, but the grief seems to resurface for some reason. So what father, the inner you, ask yourself, what do I wish he could say or do for you today? What do I wish he would say or do for me today? And then say that as well as do that as much as you're able to. And these are several great tips that might help you navigate any grief that come from Father's Day, as whether it's just this week, or perhaps grief as relate to your father in general. And if you have any question, feel welcome to share them in the comment below the video. Or if you feel more comfortable, feel welcome to connect with me directly at joyfulrichesbeyondgrief.com, as well as you can email me at drtanforgrief@gmail.com, since sometimes sharing our questions might not be comfortable. And if you find any part of these videos helpful, please like and subscribe and share them with anyone who might benefit, as well as to, if you have any concern, anything, feel welcome to share it as well. And this is Dr. BirgitteTan with Joyful Riches Beyond Grief. I look forward to see you again in the next video.